It's April the 10th, 2025. Dwyer, gamblersadvisory.com, a free site. Bettingangle.us, a free site. Remember, the opinion you should follow should be your own. Just consider this video to be a second opinion from a complete stranger online. Let's talk about some betting plays. You have some stunning plays on the board. You also have a capitulation on my part. Now, first, NBA MVP. Let me be very upfront here. For me, it's an easy vote. I would personally vote Joker for MVP, right? You're kidding yourself if you think this isn't a historical season. Understand, while I know Wilt won an assist title from the center position, in that year he did not average as many assists as Joker's averaging right now. Folks, for the first time in NBA history, you're about to have a center average a triple-double. Right? You want to remember this. You might never see it again unless Joker tops himself in some subsequent year. No other center in the league is capable of pulling off what Joker's about to pull off. Now, that said, while I would vote for Joker, while I believe Joker is the MVP, that's not the way I would bet it. I'm taking note of the mood in the room. I also lived through the year Jordan's team won 69 games. He was the scoring champion, and they gave the MVP to Karl Malone. Right? Sometimes you have to acknowledge what's around you. From the Washington Post, I'm reading where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's averaging 32.7 points a game, 6.4 assists a game, 5 rebounds a game, will be the first player, the first in NBA history, to average 32 points for a team that has won at least 65 games. Now, importantly, there have been only 6 other times where a player averaging 30 points was on a team that won at least 62 games. This is according to the Washington Post. And these names are basketball royalty. Kareem, 70 to 71 and 71 to 72. Jordan, 91 to 92 and 95 to 96. Steph Curry, 2015 to 2016, and James Harden, 2017 to 2018. Every single one of those men won the MVP. Right? Compared to Shai, only Curry had a higher player efficiency rating. So, I'm going to give in here. Right? While I think Joker should be the MVP, I believe Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be the MVP. The bet I'm placing here, and for me it's easy because I already had money on Joker, is a hedge. I'm placing the money at this point forward on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander to win the MVP. Now let's talk about some stunning bets out there. Let's talk about a team that faded. Let's talk about a way to set up your betting portfolio. So, if things play out according to chalk in the Western Conference at the last minute, if you don't have money on them already, you could jump in and take the top seed, OKC. Right? But folks, I believe at this point there are 2 other teams that can win the Western Conference. I believe Denver has taken themselves out of the running. Right? I don't care what the politics is. You don't replace your coach at this late stage. Let me also point out, too, that Denver won a title with this coach. In other words, a lot of the experience, a lot of the comfort level that comes from backing a team that recently won a title goes out the window when they take the coach that won the title out of the mix. So I don't believe Denver is viable anymore. Also, I earlier was talking up the Memphis Grizzlies. Same thing. Grizzlies haven't won a title, but they blew out their coach. I don't think they're viable. Right? So I'm taking them out of the equation. I'm in the Bay Area. I'll concede. The Golden State Warriors have ringer written all over them. You notice guys with rings on the bench who are rested. They haven't been playing a lot. People like Looney. Right? Jimmy Butler has seamlessly synced with Steph Curry. We need to start looking at Curry as a guy who can play with anyone. Right? He came up with Klay Thompson. They were the Splash Brothers. Then, of course, plug in Kevin Durant. Right? Just plug him in. Curry is the superstar who can deal with another dominant guy. On the offense, worse yet, one taking threes. Right? Curry's bread and butter. Curry's the superstar who can handle it. Right? Plug in Andrew Wiggins, very important member of the team when he was on it. Curry can handle it. Now you're plugging in Jimmy Butler. Curry can handle it. Whoever the guy is, however different the style, right? KD, one of the great shooters in history. Right? Wiggins, a bit more streaky, better defensively than KD. Right? On the defensive end, Wiggins showed his own. Now you have Butler, who's a slasher. He's not really a three guy. It doesn't matter. How good is Steph Curry? And this is something worth noting because very few superstars can pull this off. He's so good that, number one, he's not threatened. Right? He won a ring before KD got there. Right? He's on top. Not threatened by KD. Not threatened by Wiggins, former first pick in the draft. Not threatened by Jimmy Butler. Right? Butler couldn't get along with Pat Riley. The Warriors don't care. I believe management understands who they have here. Right? Steph Curry will make this work. Now, I have a lot of respect for the Warriors, but I just don't believe that they have the defense that Houston has. I don't believe they have the defense that the Clippers have. Those are the two teams. Right? Those are the two teams. Houston, by the way, they're a second seed. They've won 52 games. Right? They're the second seed. They have one of the best team defenses in the entire league. Will somebody explain to me in the comment section of this YouTube video how they are 70-1 to win it all? Folks, that's preposterous. If you didn't know Houston, if all you saw were the numbers, and they said to you, 52-win team, 52 wins, 70-1. Look at these defensive numbers. You would say, I'll take that. No need to put a bow on the package. This is a good risk. Let me make a point to you too. And we've seen it before. Teams that look inevitable. Right now, OKC looks inevitable in the Western Conference. They won the West with room to spare. Right? They look inevitable. But we've seen key players, a KD, suddenly have an injury. We've seen 1 seeds lose to 8 seeds. Guys pick the worst time of the year to have a slump. It happens. Your assumption should be that things can happen, even if you believe that OKC is inevitable. I'm just here to tell you there's no such thing as inevitability. Right? So Houston, 70-1. Folks, you need to have money on them. The other team, the Clippers, I know people are cringing. Right? This is the time of the year where you say the Clippers, right? People think to themselves, isn't this playoff season? Why am I hearing about the Clippers during the playoffs? Isn't this when this team historically crumbles? I'll just put it to you diplomatically here. And folks, please disagree with me if you want, right? James Harden, to me, is one of the best basketball players I've ever seen. Right? He has an image problem. I don't know if it's the beard. I don't know what the deal is. But folks need to realize that the image of Harden being ball-centric, needing the ball, one man on an island, that's easily contradicted by just looking at his 2 assist titles and the fact that he's averaging over 8 assists this year. Right? James Harden, believe it or not, is one of the premier passers in the league. Also, I talk with people about Harden. I hear that he doesn't play defense and stuff like that. How do you explain his steal numbers this year? Right, this year. Now, let me just say something I've learned over the years, right? Sometimes the hard way. These veteran guys, where you look at them and you say, man, this dude's in his mid-30s. How's he going to hang with all these young guns out here? Isn't there too much young blood on the streets right now for this OG to hang? Right? Let's face it. The opposite's true. Experience matters right now. Right? The problem with Houston is they're too young. You look at a Clipper team. That is one of the best teams, and I mean this, one of the best teams defensively in the entire league. You see the sleepers on this team. Right? Folks, Zubac, believe it or not, is one of the best big men in the game. Right? You mean to tell me he's flying under radar? Everyone on this team's flying under radar. He's flying under radar. We heard that Kawhi got nudged out of the U.S. Olympic team. That knee is balky. Guess what? He's healthy now. I'll even go further. He's been playing damn good ball. Look at his plus-minus. You look at this bench, you see people like Nicholas Batum, you say, whoa, I didn't realize they have all this. Right, folks? The Clippers have all this. I know it's counterintuitive. I'm more bullish on the Clippers than I am the Lakers. Where? With 2 games left to go in the season, LeBron James still has a negative plus-minus. Folks, just understand, on average, this year, over a big enough sample size, when LeBron James has been on the court, the Lakers, a playoff team, a well above 500 team. Folks, this is not Phoenix. Right? The Lakers have been outscored when LeBron James is on the court. Now, I don't have to know the reason for that. Has LeBron great numbers? Has LeBron lost a step? Is first-year head coach, let me repeat that, first-year head coach, J.J. Redick, not quite maximizing the talent? Searching for answers? Right, folks, whatever the reason, you know something's not right with the Lakers. Right, a superstar like LeBron James, a guy who is a plus-minus king the rest of his career, and suddenly this year it's different. Folks, I don't know about you. My money's too hard earned for me to trust that situation. So the Lakers, Golden State, I'm not as bullish on them as I am Houston, as I am the Clippers. Now, the reason it's important is with Houston, you're getting them at 70 to 1. I'm not even making this up. 70 to 1 to win it all. Right, folks? Please be smart. Throw a couple dollars on them. Right? That cup of coffee that you're about to have, right? You know, at the Starbucks. Think to yourself, you know what? I might be able to turn this cup of coffee into $140. Right? In fact, it doesn't even have to be Starbucks. It could be McDonald's. Right? The lower cost coffee. Look at that cup and say, wow, if I spent these $2 on the Clippers and they just make it to the finals, right? Not the NBA finals, the conference finals. Think about the hedging opportunity you'll have getting 70 to 1. Right? Well, 70 to 1 on Houston, 40 to 1 on the Clippers. Folks, I just want you to envision Kawhi, multiple rings. Harden, you and I know he's an MVP winner. He should have won the MVP the year he averaged 36 points a game. That's one of the most ridiculous MVP votes in history. Right? For those keeping track, 3 scoring titles, 2 assist titles. Just imagine them with one of the best centers in the league. If you don't know about Zubac, you better ask somebody. And you're getting them at 40 to 1? Now look, Sam Presti, he should be an MVP candidate as well, but of course, he's, a GM. He's not a player, right? It's most valuable player. Sam Presti deserves a gold medal. He's put together a juggernaut in OKC. Not only that, folks, he's done it in a way where the team's cap friendly and the team is young. Right? You're looking at a team that's going to be on a run for a few years. Right? You hope this isn't a Shaq Kobe situation where, one guy's going to management and saying it's either him or me. You hope these guys are smart enough to think to themselves, who's got it better than us? It's like maybe Boston. Right? Outside shot, maybe Cleveland. But nobody else. Right? All I'm saying is the best made plans can go awry. Right? That's the point I'm making here. Let's talk about a few other things too. Believe it or not, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander has scored 20 points in 72 consecutive games. Right, folks? That's the 4th longest streak ever. Right? He's already beaten Michael Jordan in terms of consecutive games scoring 20 or more. The MVP of the Western Conference right now, you can get Shea at a minus 150. Right? He's averaging 32 plus per game this year. He's the workhorse. The thing with who's the MVP of the Western Conference playoffs is that it's more than one series. So while it's possible that Chet Holmgren, Lou Dort, someone can rise up in one series, surprise all of us, have a matchup that favors them, the other guy can't stick them, make some key plays and be the star of that series. I'm going to take the guy who you can close your eyes every night and know this guy is going to get 20 points. Right? So Shea, MVP of the West, that's a minus 150 right now. I think it's a great bet, even though it's less than even money. But for the daredevils out there, right, I'll just put it diplomatically to you. If the Clippers pull the miracle, and this is the best opportunity the Clippers have had in years, right? Paul George out, suddenly the Clippers discovered that they have one of the best big men in the league. That's literally what happened, right? It's like Paul George out, offense has to run through Zubac more, and suddenly Zubac started delivering. Look at his numbers, right? This is the best opportunity the Clippers have had in years. If they bring it home, just recognize that James Harden, for all the problems he's had in the postseason, right? And the people in Philly know he's had some big problems in the postseason. Right, folks? James Harden is the assist guy on the Clippers. James Harden, every series, is going to have 2 games where the 3 is hitting and he's well over 20 points. James Harden is averaging over a steal a game. Right? And betting on futures like this, you have to contemplate scenarios, alternative scenarios. You're getting so much leverage on James Harden right here. I believe he needs to be part of your betting portfolio. And understand, people don't get the portfolio concept in sports betting. You should. It's not all or nothing. Right? In other words, second round of the playoffs, I look on, my bracket, and I see OKC still alive. I say, okay, great. Shea's still in play on a minus 150. Then I see the Clippers are still alive. Right? Understand, at that point, the value proposition changes completely. At that point, I'm thinking, man, I've gotten ridiculous odds on James Harden. Maybe now, whoever the Clippers are playing in the second round, maybe I can bet some on the superstar on that team. So then whatever happens in this round of the playoffs, I have an alternative to Shea in the next round. Right? Think it through. Anyway, that's the way I see it. In summary, regular season NBA MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Right? Teams in the West with a chance, there were only 3. They do not include Denver, the Warriors, or the Lakers. I believe the only 3 teams with a shot are the number 1 seed, OKC, the Houston Rockets, that's right, them, and the Clippers. Let me say this. Years ago, different sport, I remember everyone kept saying the Cowboys are too young. Right? Jimmy Johnson is a college coach. What's he doing in the pros? Right? Aikman's fresh off campus. These guys, Emmett thinks he's going to run over the NFL like he ran over the people in Florida, the Gators. Right? You were looking at that Cowboy team, one of the youngest teams in the league. And you thought, hey, the talent is there, but it's not their time. And what did they do? They went and won the Super Bowl. Then they come back. They went and won a Super Bowl together. Right? The young kids turned out to be loaded. Right? Here in the Bay Area, we talk about the Rick Barry Warriors that won the NBA title. And you say, oh, they shouldn't have been on the court. But then you look at the roster and you say, whoa, Keith Wilkes, Jamal Wilkes, right? Keith Wilkes was on this team. You start to go around the team and you start to realize this team was loaded. We were just overlooking young guys, right? the thing with young guys is they're young until they're not. They're young until you see them hanging with better teams. Right? These young guys don't know better. Right? They're in the NBA Finals, a couple of years out of college. They're in the NBA Finals. They think it's their time. Right? They didn't get the memo that they're not supposed to win. It's us against the world. Don't overlook the Houston Rockets, 70-1 right now to win the whole thing, and they were 2 seed with more than 50 wins. The Clippers, folks, band's back together. Right? It's like a few months ago, Kawhi was gimpy. This team was figuring things out. You know, Paul George had left him. Fast forward to April. Right? They're not looking around the locker room and saying, how did I miss this guy before? Zubac. They're playing in a new arena. Right? Dare I say, give it a year or two, LA might no longer be a Laker town. Right? As for MVP of the Western Conference, folks, Shea is the man. Right? Let me just say, too, looking for a sleeper, look at future NBA Hall of Famer. James Harden, one of the great players of our time, hasn't won a title, so he hasn't gotten that level of validation. Bet the talent. Okay. Bet the talent, not the bad luck in the past. Those are my thoughts. Let me hear yours in the comment section of this YouTube video. Thanks for stopping by.